and we know each other, and we do not fight with each other because of our religious identity. We have been there for thousands of years. The Syrian representative who signed San Francisco Agreement establishing the United Nations used to be a Christian, and he was a prime minister of Syria. 1945. We had in Syria a prime minister, a Christian prime minister. So the religion is not an issue for us. It's not an issue, a conflictual issue, I mean. All this introductory speech is to explain to you why the Ba'ath Party was born. It was born because we felt at that moment of our history that we were too weak and that our nation needed something to raise the moral of the people, something to gather everybody around a theme, to build up our independence very strongly, and to confront another ideology in the area, which was the Zionist ideology at that time. Because I'm talking about 1946, only 2 years before the declaration of Israel as a state. But at that time, there were a huge turmoil in the area. So that was the meaning of, the message behind the creation of this Ba'ath Party. To be honest with you, I think that the West missed golden opportunities by not dealing with secular parties in the Arab world. And this is why the West now is somehow obliged to deal with fanatics. By not dealing with the secular regimes and secular parties such as the Nasserism in Egypt and the Ba'athism in Syria and Iraq, the West missed golden opportunity and favored the creation of fanatic groups in the area. Because the only alternative to secularism is to have fanatics. And this is exactly what's happening right now. You cannot manipulate religion. Nobody can manipulate the religion. This is a very dangerous weapon. You start manipulating it, but one day it will kill you. This, we got it in our area. We know how important religions are in our area. This is why we don't use religions as weapon. Politics is something and religion is something else. Our people, the Arab world actually, got struck when we saw in the 40s the establishment of Israel on a pure religious basis. This country should be for the Jews only. We didn't understand it. We were struck. Why? Why the Syrian Jew should leave Syria and live in Palestine? Why the Moroccan Jewish community should immigrate from Morocco and go to Palestine? Why the Christians should live in Lebanon? Why they should leave Damascus and Aleppo and Cairo and go all of them to Lebanon? Why? What is the reason? What is the rationale behind this? We understand it as disintegration of our nation. And this is why we fought it. We didn't accept it. We fought it back and we refused to divide ourselves on confessional, sectarian, religious basis. That was the meaning and the message of the Ba'ath Party at that time. I'm talking about the message. Of course, the practice might be not as glorious as the theory. And that happened to all parties, all political parties all over the world. There were some problems, some failures, some fiascos. We know what happened to the Ba'ath Party in Iraq, for instance. I would say that the deviation of the message of the Ba'ath Party was somehow instigated by the challenges the huge challenges we confronted in our area after our independence. Don't forget that in this area, after our independence, 1948 war, the first Arab-Israeli war, 1956, the tripartite aggression against Egypt, France, Israel, and Britain. 1967, another Israeli war. 1973, another Arab-Israeli war. 1982, the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. Then, etc. You know what happened in the area. So a huge accumulation of challenges did not give us enough time to digest the necessity to pass from theory into practice on the ground.
I'm going to open the floor for questions, though I have 3 more questions. I'm hoping that the floor will ask them. But I think we do at some stage need to know, firstly, what is the relationship between Syria and Lebanon? There is great confusion about this. Secondly, this incident in which some place in Syria has been bombed by Israel and nobody is talking. Why is nobody talking about something that has happened? There must be some reason. And finally, something which, Mr. Ambassador, may not have occurred to you, but there is trouble brewing on the border between Turkey and Iraq, because the Turks have decided today that they are going to hot pursuit against the Kurds in Iraq. Now, you have a Kurdish population also. I'd like to know what is the status of the Kurdish population in Syria. Is Kurdistan a problem which you see as an emerging problem or not? But these are just early warnings. The floor is open for questions from the floor. Nobody has questions? Yes, ma'am.
I do.
Go ahead.
What role is oil playing in all of this? And didn't the Western nations cause these problems by splitting everything up?
Oil was a catastrophe for us. I mean, for the Arab nation. All our problems stem from this issue. Actually, the division of the Arab nation by the British and the French in these famous secret agreements called Sykes-Picot had an oil background. And just an anecdote I would like to share with you. When these colonialist powers decided to divide the area, if you look at the map of the Middle East, somewhere between Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, there is a small piece of land that belongs to nobody. They call it the neutral zone. It is full of oil. And now it is shared by Kuwait, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. Why is it called a neutral zone? And why it is not part of Iraq or Kuwait or Saudi Arabia? I will tell you the reason. It's very funny because that day, when the British and the French negotiators took their pens and started to draw the map, they had with them an Armenian guy, an Armenian businessman who works in the oil business. When they traced and delineated the borders of these new states, Iraq, Syria, Kuwait, whatever, the Armenian guy protested energically by saying, "And me, what shall I get from this deal?" Then they told him, they gave him a pen, and they asked him to draw the border of somewhere that will belong to him. He was so modest and humble and wise, so that he drew a very small piece of land that would belong to him. Actually, it is a desertic area. There is nobody over there.